On behalf of Crosscheck Media and Biz Talk Today TV, welcome everyone to Wayve Wire. I am your host, Todd Schoenberger. Joining me as they do every week are the executives from Philadelphia-based Wayve Capital. I have Joe Besecker, the CEO, as well as the CIO, Rhys Williams. Gentlemen, welcome back to the program. Well, today was a big day from the jobs report perspective. We received the May labor report number, and I got to say the number was off the charts, 172,000 new jobs. But more importantly, the revisions for March and April were up big. Even in March, we saw 214,000. That's clipping the 200,000 mark. Is the first time we've seen that in over a year. Joe, I want to start with you because you would think all this good news, you would see the economy piping hot, but now suddenly we are now facing the fact that we are probably going to start seeing higher rates from the Fed at the end of the year. Do you believe that that's the case? And wouldn't that be a good thing, though, especially with the economy doing as well as it is?
It's a conundrum. It's a conundrum. I think that we've talked over the last, say, month or so. My concern is the interest rate scenario. It gets compounded in a number of different ways. You've got crybaby Rhys, maybe actually his crying is going to come true. So let's talk about the things I like in the jobs report, and I really like it. You're seeing the business sectors, and you're seeing healthcare, and you're seeing private jobs up. You're seeing a lot less government jobs, and I like that. I mean, we were almost getting to be, I told like, you got a job, the government says, you got a job, you got a job, you got a job, and we're getting rid of that. And now we're actually seeing the private sector hiring. Now it looks like mostly in healthcare, but I think that's a good thing. But if the reason I think there's a conundrum is if jobs are getting, and the job situation is getting better, which is actually good. It means the economy's good, whatever. That's going to put a damper on those that want interest rates to be cut. Additionally, and I'll let Rhys talk because this is an area that he keeps him up at night. The longer we have this situation and the straits closed and whatever, we've been in the United States, we've been tapping our reserves, and I think the reserves, tapping them as much as we have, we're going to have to start look at that. You can't, it's like a car. You really shouldn't let your reserves get down so low that, they need to do that. So I'm concerned. I think that's the market. Yet earnings are great. Everything's going well. This is a fly in the ointment, and the Fed is going to be kind of in between. And no, I personally don't think that we'll have a raise by the end of the year, but I can no longer rule it out entirely.
Rhys, how about that? The economy is piping hot right now. People are working, people are happy, yet you still have this silly war that's going on. If the war isn't or wasn't going on, it had ended by now, because we were told 4 to 6 weeks. If it was over, where would the U.S. economy be? I mean, I would imagine GDP will be well north of 6%, but what do you think?
Well, I don't think actually oil has hurt GDP yet. I think that's going to be more in the future. I mean, I think, it's annoying at the pump and everybody's feeling happy about that, but I don't think, people are still flying airplanes. I don't think it's really cut into what people do every day. But obviously, as long as oil keeps going up, and then not only that, but fertilizer, it's really a disaster.
Wait, Rhys, at this point, oil is up, but it's not going up precipitously.
Yeah. I don't think oil's done yet is at all catastrophic. I mean, most energy executives, however, are saying they don't know why it's 80 or 90. It should be 120, 130 kind of thing, given the supply and demand fundamentals. So I think you might where you keep you keep an upward pressure on oil. That won't be good. it's also, I mean, and I just point out in the, some of the earnings reports we've gotten from these REITs, Asia and Europe really weak at Phillips Van Heusen
Correct.
and so this is really hurting maybe outside of America more than inside America.
A lot
Um,
more. A lot more.
and world GDP gets hurt. So yeah, they really need to cut a deal. I think Iran and US both want the Straits of Hormuz open. So I think they absolutely agree on that. They don't agree on much else. So, I would think both sides at this point are pretty close to being ready to agree on what they can agree on. And then we will table and discuss nuclear and some of these other issues, which are frankly a lot harder. Same thing here with Lebanon. I think if Israel stops bombing Lebanon, that will probably allow Iran to sign some sort of deal with us, and we can punt on Israel controls 10% of Lebanon right now and is probably not going anywhere, which is why
This,
his.
see,
So
Todd, the
so
problem
so
is,
we can push some things down the road, I think, if there's enough will to do that.
Todd, the problem is that, and people don't like hearing this, and you said in your thing that the economy's roaring and people are happy. People are not happy. Maybe they should be happier than they are. And the truth is, the gas is a percentage of the wallet right now. We've had times as far as percentage of earnings and whatever that it's really not ridiculously high. Yet it affects the lowest part of the economy. And we've talked about this K economy and the people that make X and under, and I don't know what that number, but I'll say $65,000 and under, are really feeling a pinch. So the D's are going to be able to point to that and yell and scream and whatever. I think that I have not done it. I was on a Raymond James call yesterday. I really really respect these guys, the guys in the oil part, and they kind of scared me. Um, because they looked at three scenarios, and one is ending soon, one is a little longer, and then opening the straits in January. And if that happens, that kind of cascade of potential issues ain't pretty. And most of them come around then to me to the interest rate scenario, and that is what I've been concerned about. So, Rhys, I don't know what you think, but I'm going to have to wear a Dallas Cowboys some type of paraphernalia on here because I had said by May and we're solidly in June. I don't know. And where I disagree with you, Rhys, is we've gone this far. I don't think Trump's going to do a deal without some solution for the uranium. I just don't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. No, it's absolutely correct. But on the
maybe
oil,
Todd, can you wear an outfit and go over there? They'll dig it. You just got to go get it. Take it to your house or
are
something. I
you
don't know.
kidding me? Well, why can't we? I mean, can put bring cameras into Iran, and why not? It'll be a lot of fun, and we'll do on the ground reporting. I'm sure we'll be welcomed, actually. But on the oil side, the thing about the oil trade right now is that you have heard, and we heard this directly from ExxonMobil, that inventory levels are so low right now,
Very low. Yeah.
and we are probably, this is according to ExxonMobil, okay, an American company. They said we will probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks really start seeing a spike higher for prices at the pump.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
don't know how high they're going to go, but it sounds like it could be
So,
paralyzing.
so on this call yesterday, all right, which, my buddy Marshall at Raymond James, um, option one is Hormuz opens as soon as possible. Brent hits 120 in June, July, and settles at 75 through 28. Option two, which is their base case, opens starting like September. Brent hits 140 in July and settles at 85. Option three, which is the one that he's picking, Hormuz reopens starting January 27. Brent hits 160 in September and settles at 95. That is not an optimal case for Reese and I as we're trying to manage portfolios unless we restructure our portfolio to look a lot more in the energy sector. So it's a curveball that we got to deal with.
It is a curveball. And Reese, what do you think about
That's
that?
1970. That's a 1970 stagflation scenario you get there, and that
Right.
would, so
Yeah.
gold, you want to be in energy, and not much else.
No,
But
AI,
I
I
think,
still think your AI
by
plays a
the way,
role.
that scenario is so catastrophic for Trump and for Republicans in November
You
that
should
I
be
just
doing a
don't.
happy dance, Reese. If that's the case,
I just
you
don't
should
see
be
why he
going
would do
da, da,
that.
da, 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 da. I mean,
Trump is not an idiot, I don't think. And I just think that it's so terrible for him personally and for his family that he is going to figure, he obviously is desperate to find a deal. We know that. And so we'll paper over something. We can paper over something. The whole world's good at that. Diplomats have been papering over stuff for 2,000 years, and we can do it one more time. And
Well,
we don't know what we need to do in nuclear. Nobody really knows what the right answer is there. What we do know is we got to get the Straits of Hormuz open, and we got to get it open pronto.
Well, current state right now for the political side is that you have 98%, only one candidate that was a Trump backed candidate lost in the primary so far.
correct.
All the rest have won, but that's current state. You see that spike in gas? We start seeing $6 at the pump. I know what California has, but for the rest of the country, that's going to be a serious impact. But here's the thing, guys, and
They
Joe,
haven't
I'll
done a
fire
good
this one.
job. They,
Joe,
they they have not done a good job, in my view, of explaining why Americans should short-term suffer this pain. I don't believe, I actually, guys like Reese are saying we're not winning the war. We won a war, but this stalemate of flow of services and goods and fertilizer and oil, and they haven't appealed to the American spirit of sacrifice for the greater good. And I don't think they've done a good job of that at all. I think Marco Rubio does a good job of it. Bassett does all right, but Trump hasn't done a good job of explaining that. And I think you're right. I think this will be a big challenge.
it is going to be a big challenge,
And
but
and
it's going
I
to be
mean,
a
we're
big
not talking
challenge
about this.
later.
What's that?
Yeah, because right right now we've got 4.50 gas, maybe five, maybe six in California. We're talking about $7, $9 gas. That's what we're talking about in Marshall Atkins' January 1st scenario. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think the few people that, I mean, yes, he can still control the diehard Republicans. It's a cult at the MAGA level, but beyond that, he's going to get stormed in November if this status quo changes. So he's got to cut a deal. And by the way, Iran doesn't work for Iran right now either. They're not having any money coming in.
Well, it doesn't work for
So
China
everybody,
either. But Reese, it doesn't work for China either,
Yeah, but we
right?
don't
nobody, it
care. It's
doesn't
it's
work
it's
for
about what happens
anyone.
here in America, though.
No,
This
but if
doesn't work for
China,
anybody.
go ahead. Go ahead, Reese.
No, I think importantly, this does not work for anybody. So that which is and China wants the Straits of Hormuz. Everybody wants it open. Nobody except a few neocons absolutely want to live and die on the Iran and uranium issue. There are a few that want to live and die on that issue, but the rest of the world just wants the Straits of Hormuz open.
Yeah. So, Reese, even if the strait is open, though, I mean, you've seen pictures, images. There are countless ships just waiting and sitting, and they're just anchored down right now. I mean, it will take probably a full year to get everything back to normal. So even if the strait is reopened, you're still going to have a negative consequence for the November midterm election. So if that's the
Sure.
case, what are we anticipating? What is in your crystal ball right now? What are you anticipating? Now we have the threat of higher rates all of a sudden. I mean, are we now about to enter, or is the best part about the stock market behind us, or can we still anticipate that we're going to have good days ahead?
Well, here's what I actually am less concerned on the rates as long as we cut the deal in Iran quickly, because I do think that in that case, energy prices do come down at least on the 6 month time frame, which will be important. And I do think the negative parts of this recent oil squeeze hasn't really impacted jobs numbers, the economy yet. It started to, but I think it gets worse. So my point is, I think jobs numbers get worse in the second half of the year, if especially if the energy prices stay high, and if they don't, I think we will have at least some supportive interest rate moves, potentially from the Fed, meaning I mean, I think the Fed would like to cut rates. Force would certainly like to cut rates if he can't now for sure. But if things start to slow, and I anticipate, especially on any increase from here in gas and the related complex of the energy complex feeding through to prices, if that starts to impact the consumer, which I do expect it will, you will see a slowdown. You'll see some of the job cuts. Maybe some of this big job news was travel and leisure to get ready for the summer. At the end of the summer, you're going to get so. And then, by the way, AI keeps coming, and everybody worries about the AI killing jobs. There's no evidence of it right now, other than it's pretty hard for a new college grad to get a job. But I do anticipate as we go into towards the end of the year, into the beginning of next year, you're going to see more jobs being cut because of AI.
Let's turn the page. So, Joe, technology stocks are getting hammered right now. Are we beyond the peak? I mean, is this what we can anticipate for the rest of the summer? More selling in the sector?
The free money's over. I'll give you that. This is the time where people like Rhys and myself and smart people out there separate the ones that have been riding the wave versus the ones that will continue to have a very good markets, strong earnings, growth going forward. And there are a lot of names that people have been in that have been kind of pulled along by the leadership. I do not think, however, the last week or so has been bad because we've seen a broadening out of the market, that technology leadership has come back in. And goes back to something we talked about last week. I believe that over the past month, people have been starting to book gains to keep capital for these large IPOs that are coming, SpaceX, Anthropic, whatever. And they have some nice gains. And I think it's just a turnover of some of this stuff. So no, I don't think the technology run is over. I think we're in one of the greatest revolutions of our lifetime. But trees don't grow to the sky, as we always say, in a straight line. So I think you have to be a little more selective. And Rhys, I haven't seen how you done today, Rhys, but up until today,
There's no gold star today, Joe.
no, I didn't think
No
so.
gold star.
Today's a really tough day to get a gold star, but on balance, we've done really well. And but we've got to talk about how you kind of repurpose because here's the problem, in my view, and this is a bigger problem. Not only do we have the energy problem and increased prices, but we're still going to need a lot more energy to power this. Not only going to need semiconductors and not only going to need equipment and all this stuff, you're going to need power. And I'm starting to see things that I don't like. Communities up in arms because some of these data centers, they don't want them. You're starting to have people go, batshit crazy about that. They'll find them, they'll get them. I think they've done a poor job prepping the community. Heck, for what it would cost to do a community center for them or any of this type of things. They're not handling their PR very well. But the problem, Todd, is that not only are we looking at a situation where energy is going to be more expensive, but we also have the problem they're going to need a lot more energy. And, that's a conundrum. We're back in that conundrum.
Right. So, Rhys, right now, though, I get the energy infrastructure. It's going to be a real estate theme over the next decade. I understand all of that. But do you think, at least temporarily, do you believe the AI trade bubble has finally burst?
No, I don't think it's burst at all. And if you look at then go back to the internet era, because I think things rhyme in history. It was about a 7-year cycle from when Netscape it went public until it ended. And by the way, the last 3 years were the very best of it. So if ChatGPT hit in 2003, we're let's say 3 and change years into this. So I'd say we're at most midway through. Agentic AI, nobody even heard of it until 4 months ago. that's really starting to impact things. It's really going to be some of the positives that potentially on the productivity side. It's not just you and I querying, where are we going to go in Bolivia when we visit it? It's real work being done
That
and
doesn't
real.
surprise me that you would go to Bolivia.
Yeah,
You could take your
kind of
tofu and your
solution that I can
kale.
help.
You
I can.
could put it in your little Tupperware. You could take your tofu and your kale down there.
They have great tofu in Bolivia, I'm told. Anyway, so this agentic AI is really just beginning, and it's there's so much momentum. You think about how fast Anthropic grew in the first quarter of this year. So we're gonna impact the whole year on this in terms of infrastructure build
I
out.
agree.
So my
I
point is
agree. I
the
actually
first
think
quarter
you said
numbers
halfway
be
through.
great.
I don't even think we're halfway through. I don't
Yeah,
think
who
we're,
knows who knows how we could be in extra innings. We're not in the ninth inning. I think that's pretty clear. But
I agree.
even in the and this is where my point is because we were around in the 90s, there were plenty of 30% corrections in Cisco, which was basically the internet, the Nvidia of its era, right?
Right.
Meaning it was the dominant company. And Cisco had, I want to say, at least 30% corrections in an environment which was basically up and to the right fundamentally for them for 7 years as they were doing networking for the world as the
But
world
not
was
only
getting.
that, Reese, NVIDIA's done some interesting things. Not only are they bringing a lot of people in on their platform like Cisco did, but these guys are even investing in the companies hard money, and they're doing well on their investments as well. So some people like
Yeah,
that,
so
some
far,
people don't. Yeah. I happen to
yeah.
agree. I
Most people
happen to
don't like
agree
that
with
because it's vendor financing.
I happen to agree with
It's a bit of.
Reese. I think that this is a not a period of time where you punt, but the challenges are not the fundamentals of those technology companies, Todd. The the challenges are this um, dilemma with energy and all of that stuff. But the individual companies, and I also think, and maybe Reese and I don't agree on this. I think those companies, yes, you will have a displacement of workers, but I think you'll also have a gold rush of workers once they get some of this settled. So on balance, it'll even itself out. And it's amazing to me. Sometime we should bring like a 15-year-old on here because this is AI is second nature to them. And I don't think those kids think that they're all excited about where this could take them as they get in their 20s and 30s. So I think there's going to be new business.
Oh, there's no doubt that
I
they're
think the entrepreneurial activity will be huge. And the last thing I want to say is one way or the other, I believe, because if stuff does pull back 30, 40, 50% in these smaller companies, there's going to be a lot of M&A because these companies that have will start buying them up.
Right, right. And we'll see that. Joe, right now though, the question is with companies that are selling at such a steep discount today. I mean, Micron's down big today. Are
Yeah.
you a buyer this afternoon?
Why don't you throw that one to Reese? Because
Rhys, are you a buyer this afternoon?
I personally have a big position in Micron, so I am not. If I didn't own any Micron, I would nibble, yes. But I have a very full position in Micron. So
let me ask you,
yeah.
maybe Todd
I
could
think this is just really about portfolio management.
yeah, I agree. And put it this way, Reese. Let me take Todd's question and repurpose it. If you could buy only one of the two, would you buy Nvidia or Micron?
Current prices,
It's easy for me. So
Nvidia at current prices.
yeah, I agree.
And the reason is it's really underperformed here, which is a little weird given how strong the fundamentals are. And I think
Well, it
there's
goes
just no
back to
possibility the AI infrastructure
I I
continues to
I
do well.
believe
And
that
Nvidia,
any significant pullback in Nvidia will be an opportunity. I'm not 100% sure of Micron because at the end of the day, and this is something we've talked about before, semiconductors almost are like a commodity, right? And then you're going to have leapfrog in technology. And NVIDIA, I think, is building itself a pretty good moat. Micron has tremendous competition out there, not all domestic. And while I do like Micron, and I'm not saying anything bad about Micron, I mean, there are people, by the way, that are saying that the Broadcom break of this week
Yeah,
is the ringing of the bell at the end of this cycle. I don't know if
right.
I agree with that, but we've got to pay attention to that.
Yeah, yeah. We actually, through Crosscheck Media's uh, digital newsletter, the American Wealth Brief, we actually have a column today about Broadcom and how it actually has presented a great opportunity because it was hit. So definitely a something to consider. You can get that article actually right on
How do
our
we get that?
LinkedIn page.
How can I get that? I haven't
I'll
seen
send
it.
you a copy, Joe. I'm going
Yeah,
to
but
send you one.
how do our listeners get it?
Go right to my LinkedIn page. It's right there. First thing you see, right there. Go to Todd Schoenberger's LinkedIn page and you'll see. And click
Okay.
subscribe while you're there. It's free. Joe, I want to ask you one last question on the Wayve Wire sports report. Are you going to be attending the parade in New York City once the Knicks win the championship?
So you really like to hit below the belt. That's like your favorite thing in the world. And I am not the biggest NBA fan in the world. And if any other teams were playing, I'd watch a little bit, I'd catch some. I'm a much bigger into the other sports. I would watch NBA before World Cup, and I don't want to get everybody ticked at me, but you know, uh, but I so dislike the New York Knicks fan base that has done that. I dislike them more than the Cowboy fan group. Okay, and
You
yeah,
gotta like the two Villanova kids.
no, stop. That's what makes it worse, Rhys. I'm a St. Joe guy. And yet, if those guys were on my team, and the one was for like 24 minutes, we drafted him, Mikal Bridges. We drafted him. His mom worked for the Sixers, and then we traded him. Well, I mean, oh my God. So here's what I did.
One of the genius moves of
Here's what I
Sixers
did.
management.
This shouldn't surprise you. Look,
Okay.
I mean, if Brunson were on my team, I'd be wearing Brunson everything. But I believe the Knicks did a deal with the devil. Dolan, how great is this for Dolan right now in MSG? Because he was selling the Knicks, and I believe they did a deal with the devil. I can't stand the fact that these guys, the good guys, are from Villanova. I mean, this is where it's good. So what did I do? I had to hedge my emotional pain. So at this just earlier this week on one of the online betting things, I bet the Knicks to win this NBA. I did 4 bets. The Knicks to win the NBA, the Knicks to sweep. I bet the Knicks to win the first game. Okay, so I've already cashed on that. And then I bet if the Knicks win, Brunson's going to be the MVP, right?
Oh yeah.
So that's the ones I do, and I hope to go 0 for 4, and I fear I'm going to go 4 for 4. And I know that probably doesn't make any sense, but that $400 that I bet, I'd be thrilled. I'd be thrilled to lose it, but I'm not going to lose it because I already won the first game.
Yeah.
So I'd be thrilled. I happen to think, unfortunately, very much unfortunately, that I think if somehow the Knicks can win this game tonight, it might be just like it might be over in 4.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we're going to have to do a show where we'll bring all these just terrible Knicks fans on there, and we got to get them in a place where they feel safe, and then we just egg them. You know, we just I don't know what we're going to do. Knicks fans are insufferable.
Oh my goodness. Too funny.
Steve, we're gonna have to listen to this. We're gonna have to listen to Stephen A. Smith and all these people. Oh my God.
What were you gonna say, Rhys?
I wanted to make one Broadcom comment about. I mean, I think it's an important issue you raised at the canary in the coal mine. I was in Taiwan in December of '99 when one of Broadcom's principal suppliers, and Broadcom was just as important in the internet era in that build out as they are in the AI era. And he said in December '99, Broadcom cut orders 40%. I'll never forget it. Never forget it. And in fact, things loosened up in Taiwan 4 or 5 months early, and the market peaked in April of 2000. as you may remember. So you had 4 months of markets continue to be very strong. Now I shorted Broadcom. It was at 600. They had a bad quarter, of course. I covered it at 300, thinking I was the world's biggest genius. And 2 years later, in 2002, it bottomed at $4 or $5. So I missed 300 to 4. But anyway, my point in all this is nobody in Taiwan, and I'm talking to Taiwan all the time, no one in Taiwan is talking about slow down. Everybody is in acceleration mode. So I don't think there's going to be any fundamental reason this time why.
Do you talk to any males in Taiwan? Because in Russia, I don't think you know. I don't think you know a Russian male. Huh?
There are no Russians in Taiwan.
No, but in Russia, the only people you ever introduced me to, there's no males. There's just that I have this friend, and then when you drill down on this friend, but yeah, I think you're right. I do, and we talked about it. I'm not worried about a collapse, but I honestly do think that the scenario of free money in this space is probably over. It's going to be, you've got to be a little sharper, and you are. So I'm very confident about that.
Well, and you got to be a big boy to play, right? But I don't think Amazon's going to slow down here, or Facebook, or these companies can wither through.
How about the fact that Google? I'm going to ask Todd this. Has anybody talked about this? Google actually said they needed money and raised money. Google raised money.
Right. Yeah, but the thing about it is that's we've seen that though from the debt offering, especially if you're issuing bonds. We've seen this over and over again.
Good appetite for it. They didn't have a problem, but will the next ones be easily as fillable? I don't know. All I'm telling you is that we are not in a blinking green time. The lights aren't blinking green. I don't know if they're yellow.
And we've had a great couple months.
Yeah. So I don't know if they're yellow yet, but I would tell people, if you have money in the market that you really shouldn't have in the market, all right, then you got to be a little careful. If you're a long-term player and you don't really care about some of the ups and downs, because I do think we're going to ultimately go up and to the right, then I think, and then, this SpaceX thing is going to be very interesting to see how that goes. I think there's a lot of interesting things, but as I've said before, I believe that the SpaceX IPO, while a lot of people will think that will be the ringing of the bell at the top of the market, I think otherwise. I think that I must have got, I don't know about you, Rhys, but a lot of my friends that aren't really market participants, which I do have, and some of them are male, by the way, not female. I'm getting a lot of calls about the SpaceX IPO. And I think that's going to broaden interest in the market in general. And then when we get the other two.
Oh, no doubt. It's going to be great for that. But I almost think it's a cautionary tale. I had somebody call me up asking me whether they should take out a home equity loan to invest in the aftermarket in space.
That's a great idea.
I'm like, no, capital N, no. So I think
there is some
that's a little bit. There's a little bit too much hype, I think, currently.
There is some froth around. There's no doubt. I will say that I was at an excellent conference, the Craig-Hallum conference last week, which I called you from, and I would not say that the view from the collective there was table pounding bullish. I think they liked the companies. I thought the companies were strong, but the money managers that I talked to there felt like they couldn't not wear their seatbelt. Okay, so I don't think this is a time to not have some type of protection or process for which you can protect yourself.
Right, and so for the audience, don't take a home equity loan and buy a stock. Do not ever do that.
Unless it's SpaceX.
Especially SpaceX.
Unless it's SpaceX. So, I mean,
you're better off buying scratch-offs and cigarettes. I mean, it's crazy. Guys, we're going to leave it there, though. What a great show.
No, we're not.
What are you going to give us your Belmont pick?
Well, see, you didn't get to that. I mean, I've got about 10 people texting me, who are you picking for the Belmont?
Well, who are you picking?
No,
Joe?
Well, the reason they want to know who I pick, so they'll bet the other ones, because since I haven't hit either the Derby or the Preakness, I'm only teasing because I was on a heater up until the Derby. I was on a heater, and I've cooled off on some of this stuff. But you know, it is a very, very difficult race, and I'm going to defer to whoever an Ortiz rides. They're just so phenomenal, especially at Saratoga. So Ortiz, I like Renegade because IRAD's racing that. And then the Derby winner, Golden Tempo, is by Jose. So I like some others, but I think when in doubt, go with the Ortiz brothers. I think I think it's highly likely that one or both will be in the money. And then you can play around with the other names that you like, whether you like the number, the color, the name, or you like the horse. But I think when in doubt, lean on the Ortiz brothers.
And Joe, this is the last year they're going to be racing the Belmont at Saratoga. They're going back
And
to
it's not a
Belmont
mile and a
next year.
half either. It's a mile and a
It's
quarter.
exactly. That's
So
right. And
you've
so
got
the audience knows the Belmont Stakes generally is a mile and a half. And but it has since it's been at Saratoga the past couple of years, and this year it is a mile and a quarter, which means that a horse like Golden Tempo, I think, is coming out of the 9 spot. If that's the case, it still has room to move
Golden
and
Tempo
should
has
do
been
okay.
working out extremely well. Didn't run
Yeah.
in the Preakness, has us up. But at the end of the day, if I had to pick between those two, and the one I'm most confident about is Renegade. And then, if you do, you can play that Renegade song like the Steelers do, but I think it'll be a very interesting race. I am on the fence. I'm probably not going to go up to Saratoga because it's forever to get up there. But it's going to be beautiful weather, it's good for racing to have this kind of competitive situation. You want one of two things. You either want a superstar that everybody can follow like a Smarty Jones, or you want people. I don't think the favorite will be less than 3-1. And that
Interesting.
means there's a lot of 5 to 15-1 horses that I think have a chance. Um, there is a horse, the one horse that my buddy Doug O'Neill has, which I have zero idea why he's in the race. It's owned by a couple rappers. I think Lil Wayne is one of the guys and whatever. I think they're there just for the party. But there's only one or two horses that I think you can really totally throw out of hitting the board. And that makes for an exciting race, and the card is just unbelievable. I mean, the whole card for today and tomorrow. So if you're a horse racing guy, I think you're going to get paid a fair price. And for those that are going, watching, whatever, when in doubt, go with one of the Ortiz brothers.
You got it. That's great advice. Gentlemen, we're going to leave it there. We have a lot to look forward to this weekend. We're going to regroup again next Friday. We'll be back to our regularly scheduled time at 12 noon Eastern time. It's easier to say, but but we will. But I'm looking forward to that. And there will be a lot more to discuss, obviously, with the markets, especially as we proceed into summer, and we'll see how things roll. But I do appreciate both of you joining me today, and we'll definitely we'll talk again next week.
Real quick, I went to that conference that I told you about.
Raymond
I don't
James.
think it was in Minneapolis. I didn't run into Omar or Elon or whatever her name is. I was hoping to. But about a dozen people came up to me and told me they're really enjoying the podcast. So kudos to you.
I think that's great news, and I appreciate that. And we want to thank the audience. Actually, we've done. We're trying to do so many other things to help the audience and really help with distribution as well. So, and that's a reminder too, if you haven't already, to download the Biz Talk Today TV app, which is available on all Apple and Android devices. And of course, you can catch Wayve Wire right there on the app, or even on Roku, Amazon Fire, etc. And you can and really any streaming platform we are on right now. So that's great. So, gentlemen, we're going to leave it there. And until next time, take care.
Thank you.
There's more happening behind the headlines, and you deserve the full story. At Biz Talk Today TV, we break down investing, government moves, entertainment business, and even sports gambling, all in one place. Real conversations, smart insights, content that helps you think smarter and stay ahead. Thousands are tuning in. Don't miss what's next. Subscribe now to Biz Talk Today TV on YouTube and join the conversation shaping the future.